her behavior, her lack of respect, Jimmy needs to step up and be involved and take stock in what's going on around.
Rumor has it that nobody saw this coming, although we have witnessed Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin go through years of drama after drama. Jim's own son, Joseph, didn't hold back when he finally had enough of Chrissy. Before you think this was an impulsive response, keep in mind that there are accounts that indicate Joseph's outburst was the result of years of frustration. Why did Jim let it happen, though? And what exactly pushed him over the edge?
Pressure for you and Chrissy to get officially married.
No. You married?
I'm not married.
Your mama married?
My mother wasn't married either.
All right, then. So that should answer your question. Why you worried about me getting married?
I knew you was gonna come with it, Jim. I knew you was gonna come with it, but as a female, I still had to ask the question.
You talking to me about something that you haven't fulfilled or your mama hasn't fulfilled. So you should be worried about what's going on in my house. You should try to figure out what's going on in yours.
Okay, but as a fan watching the relationship on television, that is something that fans, we always kind of have that question.
As a fan, you fans need to turn around and see if your mama's married or if your father's married. That's what you fans need to do. And if that's not going on in your household, you fans shouldn't ask me any questions. You dig? I'm only letting people that has grown up in a household that's married, mother and father, and are in a marriage.
Interview 043/142. Chrissy Lampkin and Jim Jones have been together for almost a decade, but their relationship has always been more turmoil than stability. Since the beginning, commitment has been a big issue. Chrissy desired a marriage, but Jim never seemed prepared to formally announce it. Love and hip-hop fans remember when Chrissy took charge of the situation and asked Jim to marry her in 2011. Although it appeared like a bold move at the time, it was later clear that Jim wasn't totally committed. The wedding still hasn't happened, even after he finally proposed. Jim's son, Joseph, was closely observing the events, but viewers perceived it as just another dysfunctional celebrity relationship. He endured the endless cycle of drama, late-night arguments, and broken promises, and eventually, it altered his opinion of Chrissy. As the years passed, it became evident that Jim was not going to get married, and the engagement just dragged on. In addition, there have always been suspicions of adultery looming over their relationship, with Chrissy and Jim both being accused of cheating and their trust issues being openly displayed. She was the longtime lover of his father and had been a contributing factor to the problem for years. Though it was clear that Joseph and Chrissy had issues behind the scenes, he avoided her and never considered her to be a stepmother. But lately, things have gotten out of control, and Joseph felt he could no longer remain silent. It all reportedly started when Chrissy confronted Jim about rumors that he was having an affair with hip-hop musician Brooke Bailey.
Saying that apparently after Jim Jones and Chrissy broke up, which a lot of people didn't even know they broke up, now he's married or engaged to Brooke Bailey. There's a lot to the story. Let's talk about it. First of all, let's take it back to Jim Jones and Chrissy being together and breaking up, okay? So, people didn't know that these two had broken up because they literally were together for like 20-something years. If you know anything about Chrissy Lampkin is a gangster chick. She used to go with Alpo. Y'all know the movie Paid in Full? She was one of the dudes that the story is based off of, main girl in New York back in the day.
Let me tell you guys something. This is the craziest viral that I've ever been in my whole entire life, because I wake up one day, I do my whole routine, read my devotionals and positive stuff, and then I go on my Instagram and I see fake pages you took Jim, and I'm like, I didn't block the page. I said, who is Jim? Because I'm single, so I'm like, who is Jim?
Even though there had been long-standing rumors of Jim's affair, this time it was different. Sources claimed that after years of uncertainty, Chrissy lost it and confronted Jim at their house. Joseph was there as the dispute quickly got out of hand. He questioned Chrissy's involvement in his father's life for the first time in public. But this was not a single episode. Rather, it was years of. Chrissy became enraged after he allegedly told her explicitly that she was not his family, that she had overstayed her welcome, and that she was a part of Jim's life being in constant upheaval. Witnesses said that Joseph was making it clear that he was done with her. And this is where things really started to go south. Instead of just ceasing to speak, Joseph's next move astounded everybody.
If you didn't leave me to figure it all out by myself, then maybe I can process it a little different. But because I have to deal with it by myself most of the time, this is what you get. I need a break from...
Joseph was present while Chrissy and Jim's dispute heated up, witnessing the same cycle repeat itself. But this time, according to reports, he wasn't merely a bystander. As soon as Joseph stepped in, Chrissy kicked him out and told him to get out of mature people's problems. Because Joseph was no longer a child, and he wasn't going to sit by and let Chrissy take charge. That's when things started to become serious. It has been alleged that Joseph told Chrissy that she was no longer welcome in his family, that she had only caused his father's life to become more chaotic, and that it was time for him to let her go. People with knowledge of the case say that was the turning point when years of repressed annoyance suddenly surfaced. This is where things become even more interesting because Jim didn't step in or try to stop Joseph from physically abusing Chrissy and forcing her to leave their house, despite what witnesses say. Joseph stood up for Chrissy. His silence was powerful, and he made no attempt to ease the tension by speaking. Jim has always been torn between Chrissy and his son, but in this instance, his silence seemed to speak louder than words could. Some believe he was simply too overwhelmed to intervene, while others believe he was covertly backing Joseph and may have even foreseen this. Either way, it was a big statement that he didn't stop it. It was unbelievable that Chrissy had spent over a decade cultivating this friendship with Jim and even endure years of uncertainty, but she was gone as soon as she discovered she might not have the support she believed she had. Reports state that Chrissy was ashamed when she left the house, but not in the way that one would say, "I'll be back tomorrow." It was different this time because she was leaving a scenario that had entirely collapsed beneath her, not just a battle. She had clung to the hope that her allegiance to Jim would guarantee her position for years, but this made it obvious that she wasn't as untouchable as she had anticipated. Joseph, however, reportedly later defended his conduct by telling close family members that he was only protecting his father, suggesting that he didn't feel bad about what he had done, caused Jim's life to fall into disarray, and he thought it was time to end it for good. Some, however, concurred with him that there had been previous instances of conflict between Chrissy and Jim's family throughout the years. There had been a great deal of friction, especially with Jim's mother, Nancy Jones, who never really accepted Chrissy, and they had their share of tense confrontations. Some people believe that this was merely another phase of the ongoing conflict between Jim's family and Chrissy, but this time, Joseph was at the forefront. The key question now is whether Chrissy will make an effort to come back, as new facts changed everyone's perceptions just when they believed she was at the end of her path.
Watching a lot of you trappers and you hustlers, and you just running around doing God knows what, and you all got this, you heard? But this got 24-hour surveillance, you heard? Inside and outside the vehicle. You busting moves in this
It has been said that one of the primary reasons Joseph was annoyed with Chrissy was her control over Jim's money. Family relatives claimed that Joseph's reaction had been developing for years and wasn't just about this one violent night. Chrissy allegedly tried to dictate Jim's financial and business choices, either steering him away from opportunities or selecting options that benefited her over him. Some claim that Chrissy convinced Jim to turn down offers that would have helped him financially, while others believe she forced him to make choices that weren't necessarily the best ones from Joseph's perspective. Jim's mother felt the same way Joseph did. This was about his father's well-being, not just a romantic relationship. Some people speculated that Joseph was acting on long-simmering hatred in the family when he eventually confronted Chrissy. Some questioned whether Jim had been feeling the same way in light of all this experience. Throughout the years, Mama Jones has openly criticized Chrissy, questioned her intentions, and called her out for not doing enough to support the relationship. She has never been hesitant about her feelings about her. Fans saw how deeply ingrained their issues are, and their tension was visible on Love and Hip Hop. I would rather not be the one to break up with Jim. Could Joseph have just done what Jim had wanted all along? The circumstance raises the more significant issue of whether Chrissy's impact on Jim was indeed harmful, or if she was just a handy object of the family's animosity. What are we left with? As an example, Jim and Chrissy, let's face it, they have had severe problems before, so Chrissy's humiliating departure from the house feels like a dead giveaway that their relationship is gone. The involvement of Joseph is the one thing that has changed, and Jim's decision to back his son could be the final straw. The crucial query is whether Jim would make an effort to patch things up, or if he will ultimately come to terms with the fact that their relationship is finished. Has concluded. According to one supporter, Joseph had every right to speak his mind. He has watched this drama play out for years. And if Jim won't step up, somebody has to. Another admirer believes that, considering everything they've already been through together, Jim might want to make things right. Another was added. She felt she was untouchable, but Jim's own son corrected her. Perhaps she wasn't meant to be there since the family never accepted her after all these years. But one thing is for sure, this situation has left many questions unanswered. If you think Joseph went too far, or if his intervention was justified, please let me know in the comments section.